The food I'm about to reveal is probably sitting in a refrigerator case somewhere in America right now, and most seniors walk right past it every week without realizing it may be one of the simplest ways to help rebuild fading leg strength after 60. Not with hype, not with miracle promises, with physiology. And what worries me is that every day, thousands of older Americans assume their weak legs are just old age, when in reality, their muscles are quietly starving for the exact building blocks they need. I'm Dr. Michael Joel, and if your stairs feel steeper, your balance feels shakier, or getting up from a chair feels slower than it used to, this video may change what you eat starting today. Subscribe now for clear, life-saving senior health guidance every week and help this channel reach more Americans who need truth. Before I reveal the number one food, you need to understand something that almost nobody explains clearly. Weak legs after 60 are not always coming from your knees, and they're not always coming from arthritis either. Very often, the real problem is that the largest muscles in your body, the muscles in your thighs, hips, and calves, are losing strength faster than you realize. That process can begin years before you feel it. First, you notice stairs, then curbs, then carrying groceries from the car. Then one day you stand up from the couch and think, why did that suddenly feel hard? That's how it starts. Quietly, gradually, then all at once. Let me tell you about Nancy from Columbus, Ohio, because her story is exactly why this matters. Nancy was 72, retired, sharp as a tack, and convinced her leg weakness was coming from bad circulation. She told me her calves burned when she walked through the supermarket, her thighs felt heavy by afternoon, and, climbing the 5 steps into her front porch had become a daily negotiation. She wasn't bedridden, she wasn't severely ill. She was doing what millions of seniors do. She was eating what she thought was a healthy breakfast, a bowl of instant oatmeal, a banana, black coffee, and sometimes a slice of toast. Sounds harmless, right? Except her muscles were getting almost no meaningful support in the morning. Here's what was happening inside Nancy's body. After 60, your muscles don't respond to food the way they did at 30 or 40. This is one of the crueler changes of aging. And, it catches people by surprise. You can still eat, you can still think you had breakfast, you can still feel full, and yet your muscles may not receive a strong enough signal to repair and rebuild. We call this anabolic resistance. In plain English, it means your muscles have become harder to turn on. They need a more concentrated, higher quality dose of protein, especially protein rich in leucine, to stimulate muscle repair. If that doesn't happen regularly, your legs pay the price first because they carry you all day. And that's why so many older adults make the same mistake. They eat most of their protein at dinner, maybe chicken at night, maybe meatloaf, maybe fish if they're being careful, and almost nothing at breakfast or lunch. By the time dinner arrives, your body gets one decent hit of protein, but it has already gone most of the day without enough raw material to protect the muscles that help you stand, walk, and catch yourself when you trip. That pattern is incredibly common in the United States. Coffee and toast in the morning, soup or crackers at lunch, a real meal at dinner. And over time, that rhythm quietly weakens the body from the ground up. Now here's where this gets personal, because people don't usually say, "Doctor, I think I'm losing muscle mass in my quadriceps." That's not how it sounds in real life. In real life they say, "My legs feel unreliable," or "I need my hands to push up from the recliner," or "I don't trust myself on the stairs anymore." And that loss of confidence is not a small thing. Once you begin doubting your legs, you move less. When you move less, you lose more muscle. When you lose more muscle, you become less steady. Then one near fall changes everything. That's why the food I'm about to show you matters so much. It isn't about vanity. It's about independence. Let me tell you about Robert from Phoenix, Arizona. Robert was 76, a former mechanic, proud, active, and absolutely convinced he was eating enough protein because he had bacon on weekends and a burger now and then. But when I asked what he ate most mornings, he laughed and said, "Doctor, Usually just cereal. At lunch, a sandwich sometimes. At dinner, he did better, but by then his legs were already losing the daily support they needed. He told me the first thing he noticed wasn't pain, it was hesitation. He would approach the stairs in his garage and pause, not because he couldn't do it, but because he no longer trusted the power in his legs. That pause matters more than most people understand. The moment your legs stop feeling dependable, your whole world begins to shrink. You avoid long parking lots. You skip community events if there are too many steps. You hold the railing tighter. You stop taking the grandkids to the park because the walk back to the car feels too long. And, nobody around you sees the full picture, because from the outside, you still look okay. But inside, strength is slipping. That is why I get so frustrated when people are told, well, that's just aging. No. Aging changes the rules, yes, but weakness is not always unavoidable. Very often it is underfed muscle. Before I reveal the number one food, I need to clear up a dangerous misunderstanding. There is no single food on earth that magically rebuilds weak legs while you sit still all day. If someone promises that, run. But there is a food that gives older muscles something they desperately need. Concentrated, high-quality protein in a form that is easy to eat, easy to keep in the house, fast to prepare, and realistic to consume every single day. Not expensive powders, not exotic supplements, not some internet fantasy fruit shipped from another country, a real American grocery store food. And once you understand why it works, you'll never look at your breakfast the same way again. The number one food I would choose for restoring leg strength after 60 is plain Greek yogurt. Yes, Greek yogurt. And I know that may sound too simple to be important, but stay with me, because simplicity is exactly why it works. A typical serving gives you a concentrated dose of high-quality protein, far more than regular yogurt, and that protein is rich in amino acids that help trigger muscle repair. It's also soft, convenient, quick, and manageable, even for seniors who don't feel like cooking in the morning. When your body has become less responsive to protein with age, you need foods that deliver more muscle-building value per bite. Greek yogurt does that better than most common breakfasts in America. Here is why this matters so much for your legs specifically. The biggest muscles in your body live below your waist. Your glutes help you stand and stabilize. Your quadriceps help you rise from chairs and climb steps. Your calves help with push-off and balance. And, these muscles are metabolically expensive tissue. They need regular rebuilding signals. If breakfast is mostly sugar or refined starch, cereal, toast, muffins, pancakes, juice, your blood sugar may rise, but your muscles receive very little instruction to repair themselves. Greek yogurt changes that equation. It sends a clearer protein signal early in the day, when many seniors are otherwise giving their muscles almost nothing. Let me tell you about Elaine from Tampa, Florida. Elaine was 69 and had started using both hands to push herself out of the passenger seat of her daughter's SUV. She hated that. She told me it made her feel old, in a way she had never felt before. And, like many women her age, she was trying to eat light. Breakfast was half a bagel, lunch was crackers and soup, dinner was small. She thought she was being disciplined, but her muscles heard something very different. They heard scarcity. We shifted one thing first. Every morning, before anything else, she ate a serving of plain Greek yogurt with berries and chopped walnuts. Nothing fancy, just consistent. 3 weeks later, she wasn't transformed into a marathon runner. Let's be honest, but she noticed something important. Rising from low chairs felt easier. Her afternoon heaviness improved. She stopped feeling that drained, shaky sensation after errands. And after a couple of months, with simple leg exercises added in, her confidence came back. That is how real improvement usually looks. Not fireworks, not overnight miracles, repetition, nutrition, muscle finally getting what it has been missing. And that's why I prefer talking about restoration instead of magic. Restoration means you are giving the body what it needs to recover function it has slowly been losing. That is far more powerful than hype. Now, here's the trap almost everyone falls into. They hear yogurt and buy the wrong kind. Fruit on the bottom dessert yogurt loaded with sugar is not what I'm talking about. Kids' yogurt tubes are not what I'm talking about. Frozen yogurt is definitely not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about plain Greek yogurt, ideally the kind with a strong protein count and minimal added sugar. And this distinction matters because a sugary yogurt can give you the illusion of health while delivering far less muscle support than you think. Your legs do not care about pretty packaging. They care about protein quality, total grams, and consistency. Read the label, not the marketing. But it gets even more important than that. The real power of Greek yogurt is not just what it contains, it's what it replaces. When Greek yogurt replaces toast, pastries, or sweet cereal, you are not simply adding protein. You are removing a weak breakfast and replacing it with a stronger one. And that shift changes the entire morning. Many seniors tell me they feel steadier, fuller, and less drawn to mindless snacking when breakfast begins with protein instead of sugar. That matters because constant blood sugar swings can leave you feeling weak, tired, and unsteady, which people often mistake for bad legs. Sometimes the issue isn't just aging. It's a breakfast that betrays you. Let me show you the second reason Greek yogurt works so well after 60. It's easy to actually eat. That sounds obvious, but it's critical. I can recommend salmon, chicken breast, or lean steak, and yes, those can be excellent foods. But how many older adults are realistically going to grill salmon every morning? Not many. How many seniors live alone, have low appetite, dental issues, or simply don't want to cook at 7 a.m.? A lot. Greek yogurt requires no stove, no pan, no cleanup, and no major effort. Open, spoon, eat. That convenience is not trivial. The best food for muscle is the one you will actually consume consistently. Consistency beats perfection every single time. Now, let me tell you what happened to James from Fort Wayne, Indiana, because his story reveals the mistake that ruins everything. James heard that protein mattered, so he started eating Greek yogurt, but he used a tiny serving, maybe 4 bites, and thought he had solved the problem. He hadn't. And this is where people get misled. A symbolic amount of a good food is not the same as an effective amount. If your portion is too small, your muscles may never get a strong enough signal to respond. James improved only when we made the portion real, a full serving, daily, not occasionally, not when convenient. When protein becomes predictable, the body finally begins trusting that help is coming. And that brings us to the biggest mistake seniors make with muscle-building foods. They treat them like medicine they take once in a while instead of nourishment the body needs repeatedly. Leg strength is not built on one good breakfast. It's built on patterns. Your muscles are always listening to your habits. Every morning you skip protein, they hear neglect. Every morning you give them enough, they hear repair. And that's why Greek yogurt works best when it becomes part of a daily rhythm. Same shelf in the refrigerator, same bowl, same time. The simpler the habit, the more likely it survives real life. Complicated health advice fails because people cannot live with it. Now, some of you may be thinking, "Doctor, I already eat yogurt and my legs still feel weak." Fair point. Because Greek yogurt is powerful, but it is not permission to ignore the rest of the system. If you eat good protein but sit all day, muscles still fade. If you eat good protein but never challenge your legs, they still weaken. And if your vitamin D is low, if you are chronically inactive, if you are recovering from illness, or if your total calorie intake is too low, one food can only do so much. This is why I always tell my patients the truth. Food provides the bricks. Movement tells the body where to use them. You need both. That's exactly what happened with Carol from Des Moines, Iowa. Carol started eating more protein, but she was still spending most of the day seated. Her leg strength improved a little, then stalled, so we added one simple rule. every day. After breakfast, she stood up from a chair 10 times, slowly and safely, using her hands only if needed. Then she walked through her hallway for a few minutes. Nothing dramatic. And that combination changed everything. Protein gave her muscles material. Repetition gave her muscles purpose. Within weeks, stairs felt less intimidating. She moved with more confidence. That is how restoration happens in real life. Not one giant breakthrough, but many small, repeated signals. I also need to tell you why morning protein matters so much. After an overnight fast, your body has gone hours without incoming nutrition. If you wake up and take in mostly carbs, your muscles wait longer for what they need. But if you start the day with concentrated protein, you interrupt that long gap and give your muscles a better chance to repair. And for older adults, that first meal may be more important than they realize. Many people over 60 simply do not have huge appetites later in the day. So if breakfast is weak and lunch is light, you may never catch up. Greek yogurt helps close that gap early. That alone can change the trajectory. Now, let's talk about what daily actually means, because vague advice helps no one. In most cases, I want seniors thinking in practical portions, not guesswork. A meaningful serving of plain Greek yogurt, often around 5 to 6 ounces or more depending on the brand, is a solid place to start. But remember, and this is important, the goal is not just eating yogurt. The goal is reaching a breakfast that genuinely supports muscle. That may mean adding chopped nuts, a spoonful of peanut butter, chia seeds, or pairing your yogurt with eggs if your doctor says that's appropriate for you. Greek yogurt is the anchor. It does not have to work alone. And please do not make this harder than it needs to be. You do not need a blender. You do not need a supplement subscription. You do not need imported powders with unpronounceable ingredients. One simple bowl can work beautifully. Plain Greek yogurt, blueberries, cinnamon, maybe chopped walnuts, that's it. Or plain Greek yogurt with sliced strawberries and a few pumpkin seeds. Or even plain Greek yogurt with a small amount of oats if you want more staying power. And the beauty of this is that it fits real American life. You can buy it at Walmart, Kroger, Publix, Safeway, Costco. This is not elite nutrition. It is accessible nutrition. There is another reason I love this food for older adults, and almost nobody talks about it. It helps people who are unintentionally under-eating. After 60, appetite often drops. Cooking feels like work. Widows and widowers stop making full meals. People on medications feel less hungry. And before long, they are living on coffee, toast, soup, and crackers while wondering why they feel weak. Greek yogurt gives you dense nutrition without requiring a huge appetite. That is a major advantage. You can get meaningful protein into a smaller volume of food, which makes it easier for seniors who say, "I know I should eat more, but I just don't feel hungry." This is often the bridge that works. Now let me tell you about Walter from Nashville, Tennessee, because his story reveals something else. Walter thought he had weak legs because he was getting old fast. But when we looked closer, he had lost weight without trying. His belt was looser, his arms were smaller, his appetite had been poor for months, and, the weakness in his legs was simply the most visible part of a larger problem. He was losing muscle everywhere. We started with daily Greek yogurt because he could tolerate it even on mornings when nothing sounded good. It was one of the few foods he could manage consistently. That did not solve everything overnight, but it stopped the slide. Here's the part most people miss. When leg strength begins to return, the first sign is often not that you feel strong. The first sign is that ordinary things feel less demanding. Getting out of bed takes less effort. The grocery store feels less exhausting. Carrying a laundry basket no longer feels like a test. And that subtle easing of daily strain is the earliest victory. You do not need dramatic proof to know a strategy is working. You need repeated evidence that your body is becoming more dependable. That is what you should watch for if you start this habit. Not miracles, function, not fantasy. Reliability. But before you run to the store, I need to warn you about 3 people who should be careful. First, if you have kidney disease, especially advanced kidney disease, do not suddenly load yourself with protein without talking to your doctor. Second, if dairy bothers your stomach, choose a version you tolerate or discuss alternatives. Third, and this is important, if your leg weakness is sudden, one-sided, painful, or associated with numbness, back pain, shortness of breath, or swelling, that is not a yogurt problem. That needs medical evaluation. Food supports muscle. It does not replace diagnosis. Never let a nutrition video talk you out of getting symptoms checked. Now, I promised you the number 1 food, but I also want to tell you the number 1 expectation that ruins progress. People expect to feel stronger before they have earned enough repetitions to become stronger. That impatience kills good habits. If you eat plain Greek yogurt daily for 3 days and decide nothing happened, you'll quit. If you give your body several weeks while also using your legs more intentionally, that's when change begins. And, seniors who improve are rarely the ones who find a miracle. They are the ones who stop interrupting a good plan. They stay with it long enough for biology to respond. Muscles reward consistency, not excitement. Let me give you a simple daily routine that works beautifully for many older Americans. Wake up. Hydrate. Eat a real protein breakfast centered around plain Greek yogurt. Then, within the next hour, do a few minutes of leg work. Sit to stands from a sturdy chair, countertop calf raises, or a short walk down the driveway and back. That's it. Simple, repeatable. And, the magic, if you want to call it that, comes from the pairing. Protein plus use, nutrients plus demand. When those two show up together again and again, weak legs often stop getting weaker and start becoming more capable. That is the direction we want. There is one more story you need to hear. Patricia from Charleston, South Carolina, was 74 and terrified of becoming a burden. Those were her words, not falling, not breaking a hip, becoming dependent. That fear sat behind everything. She had already stopped taking walks because she felt slow and unstable. We began with one promise: no extreme diets, no expensive gimmicks, no impossible routines, just a daily muscle-supporting breakfast and basic leg practice. And, plain Greek yogurt became the cornerstone because she could actually stick with it. Months later, what made her cry was not a number on a scale. It was being able to climb the church steps without panicking. That is what strength means. So why Greek yogurt over so many other foods? Because after 60, the best food is not the flashiest one. It is the one that checks the most important boxes at once. High-quality protein, concentrated nutrition, easy to buy, easy to prepare, easy to chew, easy to repeat. And, in a country where most seniors are under-eating protein earlier in the day, that combination is incredibly valuable. Could you also build strong legs with eggs, cottage cheese, fish, chicken, beans, or milk? Of course. But if you force me to choose one daily food that fits real life and strongly supports aging muscles, plain Greek yogurt is at the top of my list. And I want to say something directly to the person watching this who has already started giving up a little. The person who avoids stairs when no one is looking. The person who sits down to put on pants because balance feels uncertain. The person who tells family, "I'm just slowing down," while secretly feeling scared. I see you. And, more importantly, there may be more you can do than you think. Your body is not finished just because it has changed. Older muscle still responds. Older legs can still get more dependable, but they need help. They need nutrients. They need movement. And they need you to stop assuming decline is your only future. So here's the bottom line. If you are over 60 and you want stronger, steadier legs, stop building your mornings around toast, cereal, and luck. Start giving your muscles a real reason to stay. Make plain Greek yogurt a daily habit, not sugary yogurt, not occasional yogurt. Plain Greek yogurt in a meaningful serving consistently. Pair it with simple leg movement and give it time. And, watch what happens to the activities that have been wearing you down. Getting up, climbing stairs, standing longer, walking farther. Those small victories are the first signs that your legs are coming back to you. Never underestimate what one repeated food habit can start. If this helped you, share it with someone whose legs don't feel as strong as they used to. A brother in Texas, a sister in Ohio, a friend in Florida, someone who still thinks weakness is just an unavoidable part of getting older. And, if you want more practical, straight-talking guidance for staying strong, steady, and independent after 60, subscribe to this channel. Your future mobility is being shaped by your daily habits right now. Protect it, feed it, use it, and give your legs a fair chance to keep carrying you where you still want to go. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Research basis for the medical points in this script: age-related muscle loss, the importance of strength training, and the need for higher quality protein in older adults are supported by Harvard Health, the National Institute on Aging, Mayo Clinic Press, and the National Council on Aging, Harvard Health, NIA Mayo Clinic Press, NCOA. The specific emphasis on leucine-rich protein, the value of dairy-based protein for aging muscle, and the role of vitamin D and protein quality in preserving strength are supported by Cleveland Clinic and AARP. Cleveland Clinic, AARP USDA Egg Nutrient Report.